English, Spanish, Russian, Hindi, Greek. These languages all look and sound completely different, but they all come from the same ancient language. We call it Proto-Indo-European. The change from Proto-Indo-European to Old English took a very long time. Around 4000 BC, the Yamnaya people lived on the grasslands called the Pontic-Caspian steppe. Thanks to their skill with horses in wheeled vehicles, they traveled across Europe and spread the Proto-Indo-European language. Over time, because groups became separated in different regions, the language gradually changed. Around 500 BC, Proto-Germanic, a branch of the ancient language, appeared and developed in Scandinavia, northern Germany, and along the coasts of the North Sea and Baltic Sea. Over time, this language branch divided again. One of them was West Germanic, which appeared in the early centuries AD. The big change began around 450 AD when three Germanic groups, the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, made their move. They sailed over from the area that is today northern Germany and Denmark. They settled down. They pushed the native Celtic people further west into Wales and Scotland, and they started speaking their Germanic languages. Over time, those languages mixed together, and guess what they called it? Englisk, the language of the Angles. That's literally where the word English comes from. And the land? Angleland, England. But here's the thing. If you were to read Old English today, you wouldn't recognize a single word. Look at this. That's the opening of Beowulf, the oldest surviving English poem. It looks like a foreign language. So English was growing and becoming more settled. And then Vikings showed up. Around 800 AD, Viking groups, Norsemen from Scandinavia, started attacking and later settling in Britain, especially in the north and east of England, and they brought their language with them, Old Norse. Old Norse and Old English are actually cousins because they came from the same ancient language, so people speaking them could partly understand each other, much like Spanish and Portuguese speakers today. From the Vikings, English gained some of its most everyday words: sky, window, egg, husband, knife, ugly. Even the words they, them, and their, those are Viking words. English had to borrow these pronouns because its own words were getting confusing. And here comes the most important change in the story of English. In 1066, William, a duke from Normandy in France, believed that he was the true person to become king of England. Then, war. He defeated the English king at the Battle of Hastings, and just like that, England had a French-speaking king. For about the next 300 years, French was the language of power in England. The royals spoke French, the courts spoke French, the church documents were in French and Latin. Meanwhile, regular English people, farmers, merchants, craftspeople, kept speaking English. Slowly and naturally, the two languages blended together. You can still see the result of this in modern English today. Two words for the same thing. When the animal is alive in the field, English farmers use the English words like cow, pig, and sheep. But when it's cooked and served to the French-speaking nobles, it becomes beef, pork, and mutton. French words. By the 1400s, because of long wars with France, the British began to dislike French culture, and the French language slowly disappeared. English came back. It became the language of Britain once more. But something strange was happening to the sounds of English. Linguists call it the Great Vowel Shift. Between roughly 1400 and 1700, English speakers gradually started pronouncing their vowels differently. The word house used to sound like hoose. The word time used to sound like team. Over a few generations, all the long vowels moved. This is also why English spelling is so weird. The spelling was often written down before the Great Vowel Shift, but the pronunciation kept changing after. So now you have night with a silent K and a silent GH, because in the old days, you actually said all those letters, k-night. Today, just night. Do you know this guy? Yes, he is William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was born during this time. Over the course of his career, he is believed to have created or introduced more than 1,700 English words that remain popular today. He is often considered one of the greatest contributors to English vocabulary in history. In the 1600s and 1700s, British ships traveled around the world. Britain built trade routes and colonies, and by the early 1900s, the empire covered almost 1/4 of the world. As the empire grew, English spread to many countries and borrowed new words from different languages and cultures. In America, English picked up words from Native American languages: raccoon, wigwam, husky. In India, it borrowed shampoo, jungle, bungalow, pajamas. In Australia, kangaroo, and boomerang. Then the 20th century arrived, and the United States became the world's biggest cultural force through Hollywood, pop music, Silicon Valley, and above all, the Internet. Suddenly, English is everywhere. It has become the global language of science, business, aviation, and diplomacy. Today, more than 1.5 billion people speak English, and only about 400 million of them grew up speaking it as a first language. The rest learned it as a second or third language, just like you. So, English started as a rough, tribal Germanic language on a rainy island. Then it got mixed with Viking Norse, then hit hard by the French. Then it exploded in creativity during Shakespeare's time. Then it traveled the globe, picking up thousands more words along the way. English is still growing. Right now, new words are being added every single year. Selfie, podcast, ghosting, vibe. Language is alive, and you're not just learning English, you're joining one of the biggest, most dynamic language stories in human history.